The morning sunlight poured through the glass walls of my office, making every polished surface shine like success itself. My name is Ethan Carter, and for 10 years I had built Carter Dynamics from a tiny garage startup into one of Chicago's fastest-growing technology companies. Every late night, every sacrifice, every impossible decision had led to this moment. Across the room stood Sophia Bennett, the woman I believed would stay beside me forever. Sophia smiled as photographers captured our engagement announcement. Reporters congratulated both of us. Investors applauded. Friends raised expensive glasses filled with champagne. Everything looked perfect. Nobody in that room knew my entire future would collapse before sunset. "Congratulations, Ethan," my financial advisor, Daniel Brooks, whispered while shaking my hand. "Today is the beginning of an even greater chapter." I smiled confidently. "I hope you're right." Daniel avoided my eyes for a split second. I noticed. I ignored it. That was my first mistake. 3 hours later, my phone vibrated nonstop during an investor meeting. Unknown numbers, law firms, banks, board members. The expressions around the conference table changed one by one. Nobody smiled anymore. Daniel suddenly walked inside, breathing heavily. "Ethan, we need to talk. Right now." The room became silent. "What happened?" Daniel swallowed. "Our primary investors pulled every dollar." I laughed. "That's impossible." "I wish it was." My smile disappeared. Daniel continued. "The government froze several company accounts while investigating financial irregularities." "What irregularities?" "We don't know yet." Before another word escaped Daniel's mouth, security officers entered the conference room. Every eye turned toward me. One officer placed legal documents on the table. "Mr. Carter, the company is officially under investigation. Until further notice, all operations are suspended." The words echoed inside my head. Suspended, frozen, investigation. None of them made sense. "I've done nothing wrong. We're simply following procedure." Procedure. That single word destroyed 10 years of work. News spread faster than wildfire. Every television screen showed my face. Business websites displayed headlines accusing Carter Dynamics of fraud before any evidence had even appeared. Employees packed their belongings. Investors vanished. Partners stopped answering calls. Within hours, my billion-dollar company became nothing more than another breaking news story. I drove home, hoping at least one thing in my life remained untouched. Sophia. The front door opened before I reached it. Sophia stood in the entrance with crossed arms. Suitcases rested beside the stairs. For one hopeful second, I believed Sophia had packed for both of us. Instead, Sophia handed me a small envelope. "I can't do this." I stared without understanding. "What are you talking about?" Sophia sighed. "I've spent years building my future." "Our future?" "No, Ethan." Sophia shook her head. "Your future." The words hit harder than any financial loss. "You know I didn't steal anything." "I know what the world believes." "The world is wrong." Sophia laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an uncomfortable laugh. A cold laugh. A laugh filled with disappointment. "A few hours ago, everyone called you a genius." Sophia looked directly into my eyes. "Now everyone calls Ethan Carter a criminal." "You don't believe that." Sophia picked up one suitcase. "I believe successful people stay successful." The second suitcase rolled behind Sophia. "I don't build broken lives." Every heartbeat felt heavier. "I loved you." Sophia paused for only a second. "Maybe once." The black SUV waiting outside opened its door. Inside sat Ryan Mitchell, one of my biggest business rivals. Ryan smiled through the window. That smile said everything. Sophia climbed inside. Before closing the door, Sophia looked back one final time. "Goodbye, Ethan." The SUV disappeared around the corner. I remained standing alone. The engagement ring still rested inside my pocket. Days became weeks. Lawyers consumed every remaining dollar. The media continued attacking my reputation. Friends disappeared. Even distant relatives stopped answering messages. The mansion was sold. Luxury cars vanished. Designer suits became meaningless. Eventually, I rented the cheapest apartment I could find. One rainy evening, I counted the last $43 inside my wallet. 43. After building a company worth hundreds of millions. I laughed, then I cried. There was nobody left to hide my tears from. The next morning I searched for work. Every interview ended the same way. Managers recognized my face. "I'm sorry. We've filled the position. We'll call you." Nobody ever called. By sunset, I sat alone on a park bench watching strangers rush toward lives that still made sense. Mine didn't. A little girl accidentally dropped a balloon nearby. The balloon floated into the gray sky. I watched until it disappeared. Everything I had built felt exactly like that balloon. Gone, without warning. "Mind if I sit here?" A calm voice interrupted my thoughts. An older man wearing a simple navy coat stood beside the bench. Silver hair, kind eyes, no expensive watch, no security team, just quiet confidence. "There are plenty of empty benches," I answered. The man smiled. "Sometimes the busiest bench belongs to the loneliest person." Something about those words felt different. The man sat beside me without another question. After a long silence, the stranger finally spoke again. "You've lost everything people can see." I looked toward the empty street. "Pretty much." The stranger nodded slowly. "Good." I frowned. "Good." The man smiled again. "Because now Ethan Carter can finally discover what nobody was ever able to steal." I turned quickly. My heart skipped a beat. "I never told you my name." The stranger looked directly into my eyes. "I know exactly who Ethan Carter is." Before I could ask another question, the stranger stood, placed a business card into my hand, and walked away without looking back. Rain soaked the small white card. Only one sentence remained perfectly clear. "Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. Come alone if Ethan Carter truly wants another chance." I stared at the disappearing figure until darkness swallowed the empty street. For the first time since losing everything, hope felt possible. The rain continued falling long after the mysterious stranger disappeared into the darkness. My fingers tightened around the damp business card. Every instinct told me to throw the card away and forget everything that had happened. Another part of me refused to let go. After losing my company, my home, my fiancée, and almost every person I trusted, I had nothing left except one impossible invitation. That night, sleep never came. Every time I closed my eyes, Sophia's cold laughter echoed inside my mind. Ryan Mitchell's smug smile followed every memory. The headlines calling Ethan Carter a fraud repeated over and over until sunrise painted the tiny apartment with pale gray light. 5:30. Ethan Carter stood up, washed a tired face with cold water, put on the only clean shirt left inside the closet, and walked into quiet streets of Chicago. At exactly 6 o'clock, Ethan Carter reached the address printed on the card. The building looked nothing like the glass towers where billion-dollar meetings once happened. It was an old brick warehouse standing beside the Chicago River. No company logo, no security guards, no expensive cars. Only one black sedan waited outside. The same older man stepped out before Ethan Carter reached the entrance. Right on time, the stranger said with a calm smile, "You still haven't told Ethan Carter who you are. My name is William Hayes." William Hayes extended a hand. Ethan Carter hesitated for only a second before shaking it. William Hayes looked directly into Ethan Carter's eyes. Most people walk away after losing everything. Ethan Carter showed up. Ethan Carter almost didn't. That's why Ethan Carter still has a chance. William Hayes opened the warehouse door. "Come inside." The warehouse surprised Ethan Carter. Instead of old machinery and dust, the enormous room contained modern computers, glass offices, and dozens of people working quietly. Nobody looked rich. Nobody looked desperate. Every face carried confidence. "What is this place?" Ethan Carter asked. "A place where broken reputations receive one final opportunity." William Hayes continued walking. "Ethan Carter isn't the first person the world buried before discovering the truth." The word stopped Ethan Carter for a moment. "What do you mean?" William Hayes entered a private office overlooking the warehouse floor. The office remained simple. One wooden desk, 2 chairs, a bookshelf, nothing more. William Hayes invited Ethan Carter to sit. Ethan Carter believes losing Carter Dynamics happened because of bad luck. What else could explain everything? William Hayes leaned back. Betrayal. Silence filled the room. Ethan Carter slowly raised tired eyes. Betrayal? William Hayes nodded. Carter Dynamics didn't collapse by accident. You know something? I know enough. William Hayes opened a drawer and placed a thick folder on the desk. Ethan Carter deserves answers. Inside the folder rested financial records, email copies, bank transfers, confidential contracts. The first page showed one familiar signature. Daniel Brooks. Ethan Carter's breathing became heavier. No. William Hayes turned another page. Ryan Mitchell's name appeared beside Daniel Brooks. Another page revealed offshore bank accounts. Another page revealed secret meetings. Another page contained photographs. Ryan Mitchell and Daniel Brooks leaving the same hotel only 3 weeks before Carter Dynamics collapsed. Ethan Carter could barely speak. Daniel betrayed Ethan Carter? William Hayes answered quietly. Daniel Brooks accepted $30 million. Ethan Carter slammed both hands onto the desk. Impossible. William Hayes remained calm. Denial is normal. Daniel helped build Carter Dynamics. Daniel helped destroy Carter Dynamics. Every memory suddenly felt different. Every strange conversation, every delayed report, every unexplained financial decision. Everything finally started making sense. William Hayes continued. Ryan Mitchell wanted Carter Dynamics. Ethan Carter refused every buyout offer. So Ryan created another plan. William Hayes pushed one final photograph across the desk. Sophia Bennett entered an expensive restaurant. Ryan Mitchell followed only seconds later. The timestamp shocked Ethan Carter. 3 months before the engagement announcement. 3 months before everything collapsed. Ethan Carter stared at the photograph until vision became blurry. Sophia knew? William Hayes slowly nodded. Sophia Bennett made a choice long before Carter Dynamics collapsed. The room became painfully quiet. Every promise, every kiss, every dream, every memory shattered into pieces. Sophia never planned a future with Ethan Carter. Sophia planned an escape. William Hayes allowed several minutes of silence. Finally, William Hayes spoke again. Pain creates two kinds of people. Ethan Carter looked up. The first kind spends life asking why. William Hayes paused. The second kind spends life becoming stronger. Ethan Carter closed the folder. What does William Hayes want from Ethan Carter? William Hayes smiled. Nothing. No one helped for nothing. William Hayes isn't helping. What is William Hayes doing? William Hayes stood and walked toward the window overlooking the warehouse. William Hayes is offering Ethan Carter one opportunity. What opportunity? Start again. Ethan Carter laughed bitterly. With what money? William Hayes has money. With what reputation? Reputations can be rebuilt. With what future? William Hayes finally turned around. That depends on Ethan Carter. The older man's calm voice carried absolute confidence. I've watched talented people rise from bankruptcy. I've watched innocent people clear impossible accusations. I've watched ordinary people build extraordinary lives. William Hayes stepped closer. The only question is whether Ethan Carter still believes Ethan Carter deserves another chance. Before Ethan Carter could answer, the office door suddenly opened. A young woman wearing a Navy business suit entered carrying several files. The confident stranger stopped immediately after seeing Ethan Carter. Surprise filled every expression. William Hayes smiled. Perfect timing. The older man looked at both of them before speaking. Ethan Carter, meet Emma Hayes. Emma's eyes remained fixed on Ethan Carter. Then Emma quietly said something that made Ethan Carter's heart stop. I've been searching for Ethan Carter for almost a year. Ethan Carter stared at Emma Hayes as if the world had suddenly changed direction. A year. Emma placed the files on William Hayes' desk without looking away from Ethan Carter. Yes. William Hayes watched the tension build between both of them. I'll give both of you a moment. William Hayes quietly left the office, closing the door behind him. Silence. Not the peaceful kind. The dangerous kind. Emma finally spoke first. Ethan Carter probably wants to know why. That would be a good start. Emma took a slow breath. Because Ethan Carter wasn't supposed to become the public face of the investigation. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Emma opened one of the files. Before Carter Dynamics collapsed, federal investigators received an anonymous report claiming someone inside the company was moving money through fake vendor accounts. I never saw those accounts. I know. You know. Emma turned the file around. Highlighted transactions covered multiple pages. These accounts were created using authorization codes that belonged to Daniel Brooks. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then why was Ethan Carter blamed? Because Daniel Brooks was careful. Emma pointed to another document. The final approvals were submitted through the executive account. My account. Yes. That proves nothing. Daniel had access to executive systems. Exactly. Ethan looked up sharply. Then investigators should have known that. Investigators suspected it. The problem was timing. Emma sat across from Ethan. Ryan Mitchell leaked selected documents to the media before investigators finished their review. Ethan remembered the headlines appearing within minutes of the suspension. Ryan already had the story prepared. Emma nodded. Ryan wanted public opinion to turn against Ethan Carter immediately, so everyone would stop asking questions. Exactly. Ethan leaned back, tried to absorb everything. You said Emma Hayes had been searching for Ethan Carter for a year. Emma's expression changed, because the first suspicious transactions appeared 11 months ago. Ethan froze. 11 months? Emma slid another page across the desk. A security log. Ethan read the date twice. The access occurred during a conference in San Francisco. Ethan had been standing on stage in front of 2,000 people at that exact time. Someone used Ethan Carter credentials while Ethan Carter was in another state. Yes. Then this proves Ethan Carter couldn't have approved the transfers. It proves the credentials were used remotely. Ethan looked at Emma. Why didn't anyone show this to Ethan Carter? Because the evidence disappeared. The answer hit like a punch. Daniel. Most likely. Emma closed the file. William Hayes asked Emma Hayes to continue investigating after the case went quiet. Why would William Hayes care? Emma smiled faintly. William Hayes has a habit of helping people everyone else abandons. That's not a real answer. No, it isn't. Before Ethan could press further, William Hayes returned carrying 3 cups of coffee. Good. Both of you are talking. William handed 1 cup to Ethan and another to Emma. Did Emma explain the missing evidence? Some of it. William sat down. Then let's talk about the part that matters most. Ethan set the coffee aside. Which part is that? William's expression became serious. The part where Ryan Mitchell made a mistake. Emma immediately looked at William. You found it? William nodded once. Last night, William opened a smaller folder. Inside was a printed email chain. The sender name made Ethan's pulse jump. Ryan Mitchell. The recipient was a private consultant named Victor Kane. William tapped the final message. Read the last line. Ethan reads silently. Make sure Carter never gets access to the original server. Ethan looked up. Original server? Emma answered first. Carter Dynamics kept a backup server outside the main headquarters. Disaster recovery. Ethan remembered approving the project years earlier. The backup mirrored every transaction. Emma nodded. If that server still exists, the original authorization records may still be there. William leaned forward. And if the original records are there, Daniel Brooks can't hide who actually approved the transfers. Hope returned, so suddenly it almost hurt. Where's the server? William's expression darkened. That's the problem. Emma opened another map. The backup facility is located outside Milwaukee. Ethan studied the address. Then we go there. Emma hesitated. It may not be that simple. Why not? William answered quietly. Because someone already tried to destroy it. The room went still when, 2 days after Carter Dynamics was suspended, Ethan felt cold. Was the server destroyed? We don't know. Emma pointed to a photograph of a burned electrical room. There was a fire, but the facility had multiple isolated storage units. Meaning the data could still exist, Ethan said. Possibly. William stood. Which is why we're leaving tonight. Ethan blinked. Tonight? Ryan Mitchell believes Ethan Carter is finished. William's eyes hardened. That gives us one advantage. Ryan isn't watching Ethan Carter anymore. Emma grabbed a tablet and checked something. Actually, Emma looked up. Ryan may have started watching again. Ethan frowned. What happened? Emma turned the screen toward both of them. A photograph filled the display. Ethan standing outside the warehouse that morning, taken from across the street. Another photograph showed Ethan entering the building. A third showed William Hayes beside the black sedan. The timestamp was less than an hour old. William's voice became very calm. We have a problem. Ethan stared at the screen. Who took these? Emma zoomed in on the corner of the final image. A reflection appeared in a nearby window. A man holding a camera. Ethan recognized the face instantly. Marcus Reed. Emma looked at Ethan. Who is Marcus Reed? Ryan Mitchell's private investigator. William's expression sharpened. If Marcus Reed found this building, Ryan Mitchell already knows Ethan Carter is no longer alone. Emma quickly gathered the files. Then we need to move now. William nodded. No phones. No public transportation. No digital payments. Ethan stood. This is really happening, isn't it? William looked directly at Ethan. Ryan Mitchell spent months making sure Ethan Carter had no way back. Emma picked up the final folder and handed it to Ethan. A burning truck crashed across the highway, completely blocking the only path forward. Ethan slammed the brakes. The sedan skidded sideways. Before the car stopped moving, masked men stepped out of the surrounding forest, aiming weapons directly at the windshield. The warehouse disappeared into complete darkness. Emergency alarms echoed through every hallway while frightened voices filled the building. Desks crashed against the floor. Computer screens blinked off one after another. The calm atmosphere from only moments earlier vanished in seconds. Ethan Carter's heartbeat accelerated. What's happening? Ethan asked. William Hayes remained surprisingly calm. This wasn't an accident. Emma Hayes immediately pulled a small flashlight from a desk drawer. The narrow beam cut through the darkness. We need to move. A loud crash echoed from the first floor. Someone shouted again. Security! East entrance. William's expression hardened. Too late. Without another word, William opened a hidden cabinet behind the bookshelf. Inside rested a secure metal case and several encrypted hard drives. William handed 2 drives to Emma. Protect these. Emma nodded. What about the rest? William locked the remaining drives inside the case. If necessary, William Hayes will stay behind. Ethan stepped forward. No. William looked directly at Ethan. Ryan Mitchell isn't after William Hayes. William pointed toward the hard drives. Ryan wants evidence. Another heavy crash shook the warehouse. Glass shattered downstairs. Footsteps echoed through the building. Multiple people. Not one. Emma quietly counted. At least 6. William nodded once. Professional team. Ethan looked around the office. Police? William answered immediately. No. How can William Hayes be certain? Police knock. Another loud bang interrupted the conversation. This team breaks doors. Emma opened another hidden panel inside the office wall. A narrow concrete hallway appeared behind it. Ethan stared in disbelief. A tunnel? William smiled slightly. Old warehouses always have interesting history. Emma motioned toward the passage. Ethan goes first. What about both of you? We'll be right behind. Reluctantly, Ethan entered the narrow hallway. Cold concrete surrounded every side. The tunnel stretched beneath the warehouse toward an unknown destination. Behind Ethan, William closed the hidden entrance just as shouting reached the office. Someone had entered. The 3 moved quickly through the darkness. Only Emma's flashlight guided the way. After several minutes, the tunnel ended beneath an abandoned parking garage. 3 vehicles waited. A black SUV, a silver pickup, a dark blue sedan. William tossed Ethan a set of keys. The sedan. Ethan caught them. William Hayes planned for this? William smiled. Successful people always prepare for failure. Emma climbed into the passenger seat. William entered the back. Within seconds, Ethan started the engine. The sedan quietly rolled out of the underground garage. Nobody spoke for several blocks. Every passing vehicle felt suspicious. Every traffic light seemed too long. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. Who attacked the warehouse? William answered calmly. Probably Ryan Mitchell. Probably? Ryan rarely gets dirty. Emma looked through the rear window. Ryan hires specialists. Ethan tightened both hands on the steering wheel. Mercenaries. Corporate recovery teams. Ethan laughed bitterly. That's an expensive name for criminals. William nodded. Exactly. Emma suddenly leaned forward. Blue SUV. Ethan checked the mirror. A blue SUV remained 2 cars behind. They followed every turn. William quietly looked back. Don't panic. What if they found us? They're making sure. Emma opened the glove compartment. Inside rested another phone. Not a smartphone. An older encrypted device. Emma pressed one button. They're behind us. A calm voice answered immediately. Understood. The call ended after only 2 seconds. Ethan frowned. Who was that? William smiled. Friends. Before Ethan could ask another question, a motorcycle suddenly appeared beside the blue SUV. The rider wore a black helmet. Seconds later, another motorcycle joined from the opposite side. The motorcycles boxed the SUV between them. Traffic slowed. The blue SUV missed the next green light. Ethan's sedan continued through the intersection. Within moments, the SUV disappeared behind several trucks. Emma finally relaxed. Lost. Ethan looked toward William. Friends. William nodded. Reliable ones. The city skyline slowly disappeared behind them. Open highways replaced crowded streets. Rain clouds gathered overhead. Hours passed in silence. Finally, William unfolded a large map across the back seat. The backup facility is another 90 minutes away. Emma studied the route. There are only 2 roads. William nodded. Ryan Mitchell knows that. Ethan understood immediately, meaning Ryan may already be waiting. William looked outside. Exactly. A heavy silence filled the car. Ethan remembered every lie, every betrayal, Sophia's laughter, Daniel's deception, Ryan's smile. All of it led toward one destination, the backup server. Emma quietly broke the silence. Ethan. Yes. No matter what happens today. Emma hesitated. Don't let anger make decisions. Ethan gave a tired smile. That's easier said than done. William answered from the back seat. Revenge feels powerful. William looked directly at Ethan. Justice lasts longer. Those words stayed inside Ethan's mind. The sedan exited the highway onto a narrow forest road. Tall pine trees surrounded both sides. No houses, no traffic, only silence. Emma checked the GPS. 5 miles. Suddenly the phone rang. William answered. The calm expression disappeared almost instantly. What happened? Several seconds passed. William slowly closed the phone. They reached the warehouse vault. Emma's face turned pale. The drives? William nodded. Gone. Ethan's stomach tightened. Then Ryan has everything? William looked out the windshield. No. William's eyes became sharper than ever. Ryan Mitchell thinks Ryan won. William reached into the metal briefcase beside the seat and removed one small flash drive. The real evidence. William held it between 2 fingers. Never stayed inside the warehouse. At that exact moment, a deafening explosion shook the road ahead. A burning truck crashed across the highway, completely blocking the only path forward. Ethan slammed the brakes. The sedan skidded sideways. Before the car stopped moving, the sedan stopped only a few feet from the burning truck. Smoke covered the narrow forest road. Flames climbed higher with every passing second. Ethan Carter gripped the steering wheel while staring at the masked figures surrounding the vehicle. 1, 3, 5, then 8. Every escape route disappeared. Emma Hayes spoke without raising the voice. Stay calm. Ethan glanced toward William Hayes. Ryan Mitchell doesn't waste time. William remained surprisingly composed. Neither do we. One masked man stepped forward and struck the hood with the butt of a rifle. Everyone out. Nobody moved. The masked leader hit the hood again. Now! William quietly reached inside the briefcase and removed the small flash drive. Ethan's eyes widened. What are William Hayes doing? William smiled. Buying time. William lowered the window only a few inches. What does Ryan Mitchell want? The masked leader laughed. Ryan Mitchell wants a drive. William held up an ordinary black USB drive. This one. The masked leader nodded. Throw it outside. William looked at Ethan. Whatever happens next, don't stop driving. Ethan frowned. The road is blocked. It won't stay blocked. William tossed the USB drive through the narrow window. The masked leader quickly grabbed it. Every other man rushed toward the drive. At that exact moment, William pressed a small remote hidden inside the palm. A deafening blast echoed from the burning truck. Not a destructive explosion. A massive cloud of thick white smoke burst into the air, instantly covering the entire road. Emma shouted, "Go!" Ethan slammed the accelerator. The sedan crashed through lightweight metal barriers hidden behind the smoke. The road beside the truck had been prepared in advance. William had expected an ambush. Branches scraped against both sides of the car as Ethan guided the sedan through a narrow dirt path inside the forest. Behind them, angry voices shouted. Gunshots echoed. Bullets struck tree trunks only inches away. Emma looked through the rear window. They're following. William stayed calm. They won't catch us. The dirt trail twisted sharply between tall pine trees. The larger SUVs behind them struggled to keep up. Ethan focused on every turn. One mistake would send the sedan into the forest. Suddenly another vehicle appeared ahead. A black pickup, driving directly toward them. Ethan's pulse jumped. We're trapped. William looked once through the windshield. No. The pickup flashed its headlights twice. Emma smiled. Our people. The pickup swerved sideways, blocking the chasing SUVs. Loud crashes echoed behind them. Metal twisted. Glass shattered. The pursuit slowed. Ethan continued deeper into the forest until the dirt trail ended beside an abandoned radio tower. William finally spoke. Stop here. The sedan rolled to a halt. Everyone stepped outside. Fresh mountain air replaced the smell of smoke. Ethan looked around. There isn't any backup facility. William pointed toward the ground. It isn't above us. Emma walked toward an old concrete building beside the tower. Hidden beneath broken flooring rested a heavy steel hatch. Emma entered a 6-digit code. The hatch unlocked with a loud click. Ethan stared. The server is underground. William nodded. Disaster recovery facilities are designed to survive almost anything. The three climbed down a long metal ladder. Below waited a secure underground room. Rows of silent servers still blinked with green lights. Electricity remained active. Cooling systems continued running. Ethan almost couldn't believe it. It's still working. Emma immediately sat in front of the central computer. Let's hope the data survived. William handed Emma the real flash drive. This contains the encryption key. Emma connected the drive. Lines of code filled the screen. Progress bars slowly moved forward. 20%, 35, 48. Nobody spoke. Every second felt endless. Finally, the computer displayed one message. Backup successfully verified. Emma smiled for the first time. We have everything. Ethan stepped closer. The original records? Emma nodded. Every transaction. The authorization logs? Every one. William quietly closed both eyes. It's over. Emma opened another folder. Several digital signatures appeared on the monitor. Daniel Brooks, Ryan Mitchell, Victor Kane, offshore accounts, secret transfers, private communications. The entire conspiracy sat in front of them. Ethan felt years of pain turning into hope. We can finally clear Ethan Carter's name. William remained silent. Emma noticed immediately. What's wrong? William pointed toward the screen. A small warning icon flashed in one corner. Emma opened the alert. The smile disappeared instantly. No. Ethan looked at Emma. What happened? Emma's hands froze above the keyboard. Someone accessed the server. William's voice became serious. When? Emma swallowed. 7 minutes ago. Ethan frowned. That's impossible. We were still driving. Emma enlarged another window. A remote connection. Still active. William immediately disconnected the network cable. Too late. A new message suddenly appeared across every monitor. Thank you for leading us to the evidence. Below the message appeared a live video. Ryan Mitchell smiled directly into the camera. Ryan slowly applauded. Congratulations. Ethan's fist tightened. Ryan continued smiling. Finding the backup server saved Ryan Mitchell weeks of searching. Emma whispered. The system was hacked. Ryan leaned closer to the camera. William Hayes always was predictable. William remained silent. Ryan laughed. Don't worry. Ryan raised the phone toward the camera. I already copied every file. Ethan stepped closer to the screen. You destroyed Ethan Carter's life. Ryan's smile grew wider. No. Ryan pointed directly toward the camera. Daniel Brooks destroyed the company. Sophia Bennett destroyed the engagement. Ryan's eyes became cold. Ethan Carter destroyed Ethan Carter by trusting everyone. The video suddenly ended. Silence returned underground. Emma checked the system. The copy logs are real. William closed the server cabinet. Then Ryan now has the evidence. Ethan lowered the head. We lost again. William placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. No. Ethan looked up. William smiled for the first time since the attack. Ryan Mitchell made one final mistake. Emma looked confused. What mistake? William pointed toward the disconnected server. Ryan Mitchell copied every file. William paused, including one encrypted folder that Ryan Mitchell was never supposed to see. Ethan stared at William. What is inside that folder? William answered quietly. The secret Ryan Mitchell has spent 15 years hiding. Before anyone could ask another question, a loud metallic bang echoed above the underground hatch. Someone had found the facility. The metallic bang echoed through the underground facility again. This time it sounded closer. Dust drifted from the concrete ceiling as another heavy impact shook the steel hatch above. Ethan Carter looked toward the ladder. They found us. Emma Hayes immediately shut down every monitor except one. Fingers moved rapidly across the keyboard, while lines of encrypted code flashed across the screen. How long? Ethan asked. Emma checked the security display. Less than 3 minutes. William Hayes calmly locked the server cabinet. That gives us enough time. Ethan frowned. Enough time for what? William removed a small metal key from a chain around the neck and unlocked another cabinet hidden behind the server racks. Inside rested several sealed document boxes and a rugged black laptop. William handed the laptop to Emma. Take this. Emma accepted it without hesitation. The documents? They stay here. Ethan stepped closer. Those files could prove everything. William nodded. They could. Then why leave them? William looked directly at Ethan. Because Ryan Mitchell expects us to protect paper. William tapped the laptop. Ryan doesn't know the truth already lives here. Emma understood immediately. The encrypted archive. William smiled. Exactly. Another violent crash echoed overhead. The steel hatch bent inward. Emma looked at the security monitor. They're cutting through. William turned toward Ethan. Listen carefully. Ethan nodded. The next few minutes will decide everything. William opened the laptop. A login screen appeared. Only 2 people know this password. William typed several characters before closing the screen. Now 3. William handed the laptop to Ethan. If anything happens to William Hayes. Ethan interrupted. Nothing is happening. William remained calm. Take the laptop. Reluctantly, Ethan accepted it. It contains every financial record. William paused. And something far more valuable. What? The real reason Ryan Mitchell destroyed Carter Dynamics. Ethan stared. This was never about business? William slowly shook the head. No. Before William could explain further, alarms suddenly blared throughout the underground room. Emma looked at another monitor. They're inside the upper level. Footsteps echoed above. Multiple voices. They were getting closer. Emma quickly disconnected the remaining server cables. Finish. William nodded. Good. Ethan looked around. There has to be another exit. William pointed toward the far wall. There is. Emma pushed aside an old storage shelf. Behind it stood a narrow steel door almost invisible against the concrete wall. William unlocked it. A narrow maintenance tunnel stretched into darkness. This tunnel leads outside the forest, William said. How far? About 1 mile. Ethan looked back at the underground server room. What about William Hayes? William smiled faintly. Someone has to slow them down. No. Ethan stepped forward. We leave together. William placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Ryan Mitchell believes Ethan Carter lost the ability to lead. William's voice became firm. Prove Ryan wrong. Emma grabbed Ethan's arm. We have to move. Another loud explosion shook the facility. Concrete cracked near the ceiling. The attackers were almost through. William looked toward the tunnel. Go. Emma disappeared into darkness first. Ethan hesitated. William. That's an order. For a long second, Ethan refused to move. Then another blast echoed behind the server room. The steel hatch finally gave way. Shouts filled the underground chamber. They're here. Emma called from inside the tunnel. Ethan. Taking one final look at William Hayes. Ethan ran into the narrow passage. The heavy steel door closed behind them. Silence returned. Only distant footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Emma switched on a flashlight. Neither of them spoke. After several minutes, Ethan finally broke the silence. William Hayes planned everything. Emma nodded. Always. Who exactly is William Hayes? Emma hesitated. The answer changes everything. Ethan stopped walking. What does that mean? Emma sighed. William Hayes isn't just a businessman. Then who? Before Emma could answer, a deafening gunshot echoed somewhere behind them. Both of them froze. A second shot followed. Then complete silence. Ethan's heart pounded. William. Emma lowered the eyes. We have to keep moving. No. Ethan turned back toward the steel door. William Hayes is alone. Emma stepped in front of Ethan. And William Hayes knew that would happen. Ethan clenched both fists. I'm not leaving. Emma looked directly into Ethan's eyes. If Ethan goes back now... Emma's voice trembled for the first time. Everything William Hayes sacrificed will be wasted. Those words stopped Ethan. Tears filled Ethan's eyes, but there was no time to grieve. The tunnel stretched endlessly ahead. Somewhere behind them, the fight had already begun, and Ethan had no idea whether William Hayes was still alive. The tunnel felt colder with every step. Only the sound of Ethan Carter's breathing and Emma Hayes' footsteps broke the silence. Every few seconds, Ethan looked back, hoping to hear William Hayes calling from the darkness. Nothing. The gunshots never came again. Emma finally stopped beside an old steel ladder leading upward. We're almost out. Ethan climbed first. The hatch opened into an abandoned hunting cabin hidden deep inside the forest. Dust covered the wooden floor. Broken furniture lay scattered across the room. From the outside, the cabin looked forgotten for decades. Emma quietly closed the hatch. For now, we're safe. Ethan looked around. For now? Emma nodded. Ryan Mitchell's team will search every inch of this forest. Ethan placed William's laptop on the table. This laptop is our only chance. Emma connected a portable battery pack and powered it on. The login screen appeared again. A password was required. Emma looked at Ethan. Did William tell Ethan the password? Ethan slowly shook the head. No. Emma closed the eyes for a moment. Then we need another way. Suddenly, the laptop made a soft chime. A message appeared. Identity verification required. Below it flashed another instruction. Look into the camera. Ethan frowned. It recognizes faces? Emma nodded. William built advanced security systems years ago. Ethan leaned toward the camera. A blue light scanned the face. 3 long seconds passed. Then another message appeared. Identity confirmed. Welcome, Ethan Carter. The laptop unlocked automatically. Dozens of encrypted folders appeared on the desktop. Emma smiled with relief. It worked. Ethan opened the first folder. Financial records, company contracts, bank transfers, everything needed to expose Daniel Brooks. The second folder contained surveillance photos of Ryan Mitchell meeting Victor Kane. The third folder held private emails proving the conspiracy. Then Ethan noticed one final folder. Unlike the others, it carried no name, only one symbol, a black phoenix. Emma's expression immediately changed. Don't open it. Ethan looked at Emma. Why? William never allowed anyone to access that folder. Not even Emma? Emma quietly shook the head. Never. Ethan hesitated, then clicked anyway. A warning appeared. This archive contains classified information. Continue? Emma stepped forward. Please don't. Ethan looked at the screen. If Ryan Mitchell fears his folder, Ethan pressed yes. The archive slowly opened. Instead of documents, a single video appeared, recorded 5 years earlier. William Hayes looked much younger. William sat inside a familiar office, not the warehouse. Carter Dynamics headquarters. Ethan froze. That's my office. William began speaking. If Ethan Carter is watching this. William paused. Then something terrible has happened. Emma stared at the screen, in complete shock. William continued. Ryan Mitchell won't stop until the truth disappears. Ethan leaned closer. What truth? William answered as if hearing the question. Ethan Carter deserves to know why William Hayes entered this fight. William reached into a desk drawer and removed an old photograph. A smiling young woman stood beside William. Ethan had never seen the face before. William smiled sadly. My daughter. William's voice almost broke. Emily Hayes. Emma whispered. Emily. William continued. Emily Hayes worked inside Ryan Mitchell's company. Another photograph appeared. Emily standing beside Ryan Mitchell during a corporate event. Emily discovered financial crimes involving Ryan Mitchell. William lowered the eyes. Emily planned to expose everything. The video became silent for several seconds. Then William looked back into the camera. Emily Hayes died 3 days before giving the evidence to federal investigators. Ethan felt the blood drain from the face. No. William's voice became cold. The police called Emily's death an accident. William slowly shook the head. It wasn't. Emma covered the mouth in disbelief. William continued. Ryan Mitchell buried the investigation. Daniel Brooks destroyed the evidence. And William Hayes spent 15 years searching for proof. Ethan looked at Emma. You never knew? Emma's eyes filled with tears. William never told Emma the truth. William's final words echoed through the cabin. If Ethan Carter is watching this, then Ethan Carter became the only person capable of finishing what Emily Hayes started. The video ended. Silence filled the cabin. Neither Ethan nor Emma spoke. Everything finally made sense. William never helped Ethan because of money. William sought justice. Suddenly, a satellite phone inside the laptop case began ringing. Emma quickly answered. Hello? Only static. Then a weak voice. Emma? Emma's eyes widened. William? Heavy breathing filled the line. William sounded badly injured. Listen carefully. The signal cracked. They know. Another burst of static interrupted the call. They know where the cabin is. Ethan's heart stopped. William forced out a few more words. Leave. Now. The line went dead. Emma stared at the silent phone. Tears rolled down the face. Ethan slowly closed the laptop. We're leaving. Before either of them could move, a red laser appeared on the cabin wall. Then another. Then 5 more. Snipers had already surrounded the cabin. 6 red laser dots danced across the cabin walls. Ethan Carter's heartbeat pounded inside the ears. Emma Hayes slowly lowered the satellite phone onto the table. Neither of them moved. Outside, the forest had become unnaturally silent. No birds. No wind. Only deathly silence. Emma whispered, Ryan Mitchell found us. Ethan carefully peeked through a crack in the wooden wall. Black SUVs surrounded the cabin from every direction. More than a dozen armed men moved between the trees. Every exit was covered. "We're trapped," Ethan said. Emma took a deep breath. "Not yet." Emma walked to the fireplace and pushed a loose brick. A hidden compartment opened beneath the floor. Inside rested 2 backpacks, several maps, medical supplies, and a folded hunting rifle. Ethan looked at Emma in surprise. "William Hayes prepared this too?" Emma nodded. William always believed every safe house needed another escape plan. "Where does it lead?" Emma unfolded one of the maps. "A dry riverbed behind the mountain." Ethan studied the route. "It's almost 2 miles. Emma answered calmly. "If we reach the river, Ryan Mitchell loses the advantage." Before Ethan could reply, a loudspeaker echoed outside. "Ethan Carter." The voice belonged to Ryan Mitchell. Ethan's fist tightened instantly. Ryan continued, "There's nowhere left to run." Emma looked toward Ethan. "Don't answer." Ryan laughed through the loudspeaker. "William Hayes sacrificed everything for Ethan Carter." Ryan paused. "Don't make the sacrifice meaningless." Ethan remained silent. Ryan's voice grew colder. "Walk outside with the laptop. No one else has to die." Emma whispered, "Ryan only wants the archive." Ethan nodded. "I know." Ryan spoke again. "Ethan Carter has 1 minute." The loudspeaker fell silent. Emma immediately opened the backpacks. Food. Flashlights. Emergency batteries. Smoke grenades. Ethan picked up one of the small metal cylinders. Smoke grenades? William never trusted luck. Emma handed Ethan another object, a compact GPS tracker. "If we separate," Emma swallowed, "this helps us find each other." Ethan clipped it inside the jacket. The countdown outside continued. 30 seconds. 25. Emma walked toward the fireplace. Hidden behind it stood a narrow wooden door, the escape tunnel. Ethan opened it carefully. A cramped stone passage disappeared beneath the mountain. Ryan's voice echoed once more. 10 seconds. Emma grabbed the laptop. "Let's go." Both disappeared into the tunnel. The hidden door closed behind them just as the cabin exploded with shattered glass. Gunfire erupted above. Ryan Mitchell's men stormed inside. The tunnel shook from the impact. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ethan kept running. The passage twisted sharply downhill. Behind them, muffled voices echoed through the stone walls. They found the cabin empty. Search everywhere. Emma switched on a flashlight. "We're ahead." Ethan looked behind. For now, after several minutes, fresh air drifted through the tunnel. A small opening appeared ahead. The two climbed outside. The dry riverbed stretched for miles beneath steep cliffs. Emma smiled slightly. "They don't know about this exit." Ethan looked toward the mountain. "They'll figure out." Eventually. Suddenly, the GPS tracker vibrated. Emma frowned. "What happened?" Ethan looked at the screen. A second signal appeared, moving rapidly toward them. Emma's expression changed. "That's impossible. There should only be 2 trackers." The unknown signal stopped, less than 300 yards away. Someone else carried the same encrypted device. Ethan slowly looked toward the distant rocks. A familiar figure stepped into the open. Sophia Bennett. Sophia wore dark outdoor clothing instead of expensive designer outfits. One hand held a pistol. The other held another GPS tracker. Sophia slowly smiled. "Hello, Ethan." Ethan stared in disbelief. "You followed us?" Sophia nodded. "Ryan Mitchell wanted insurance." Emma stepped protectively beside Ethan. "Sophia, move." Sophia laughed softly. "Emma Hayes. Ryan told me all about William Hayes' daughter." Emma's eyes narrowed. "Emily was my sister." Sophia's smile faded for a moment. "I know." Ethan looked between both women. "You knew each other?" Emma answered without taking the eyes off Sophia. "We've met before." Sophia slowly raised a pistol. "And today?" Sophia aimed directly at Ethan Carter. "One story finally ends." Sophia Bennett's pistol remained aimed directly at Ethan Carter. The dry riverbed became completely silent. Emma Hayes slowly stepped in front of Ethan. "If Sophia Bennett wants Ethan Carter," Emma's voice stayed calm. "Sophia Bennett goes through Emma Hayes first." Sophia smiled faintly. "Emma Hayes is still brave." And Sophia Bennett is still choosing the wrong side. For a brief second, doubt crossed Sophia's face. Then it disappeared. Ryan Mitchell pays well. Emma shook the head. Money never stays. Power does. Ethan finally spoke. Sophia? Sophia looked toward Ethan. Don't. I only have one question. Sophia hesitated. Ask. Did any part of our relationship mean anything? The question hung in the air. Sophia lowered the eyes for only a moment. Then Sophia looked back with the same cold expression. Ryan Mitchell offered a better future. Ethan slowly nodded. That answers everything. Sophia tightened the grip on the pistol, hand over William Hayes' laptop. No, you're making this harder. You already made that choice. Sophia sighed. Ryan Mitchell said Ethan Carter would never change. And Ryan Mitchell was wrong. Before anyone could move, a gunshot echoed across the valley. The bullet struck the ground inches from Sophia's feet. Everyone turned. A black helicopter flew low above the cliffs. Sophia's expression changed instantly. That's impossible. The helicopter circled once before landing several hundred feet away. 3 men and 1 woman jumped out wearing black tactical gear. The woman removed the helmet. Emma smiled with relief. Grace Morgan nodded once. We found both of you. Sophia immediately stepped backward. Who are these people? William Hayes' private security team. Emma answered. Grace raised a hand. Sophia Bennett dropped a weapon. Sophia laughed nervously. Not happening. Grace remained calm. You have 5 seconds. Instead of surrendering, Sophia grabbed a small remote from the pocket and pressed a button. Nothing happened. Sophia frowned. Pressed it again. Still nothing. Grace smiled. Looking for this? Grace held up an identical remote. Sophia's eyes widened. When Ryan Mitchell's technology isn't as impressive as Ryan believes. Sophia realized the plan had failed. Without another word, Sophia turned and ran toward the cliffs. Stop. Grace's team chased immediately. Within seconds, Sophia disappeared between the rocks. Ethan started after Sophia. Emma grabbed Ethan's arm. Leave Sophia. Sophia helped destroy everything, and revenge won't rebuild anything. Ethan stopped. Emma was right. Grace returned a minute later. Sophia escaped. Ethan looked away. It doesn't matter. Grace studied Ethan carefully. William Hayes was right. Ethan frowned. What did William Hayes say? Pain changed Ethan Carter. Grace handed Ethan a sealed envelope. William Hayes left this. Ethan opened it. Inside rested a handwritten letter. Only one sentence appeared. Trust Grace Morgan exactly as Ethan Carter trusted William Hayes. Ethan folded the letter carefully. Grace became serious. There isn't much time. What happened? Ryan Mitchell moved faster than expected. Grace unfolded a satellite map. Several red markers surrounded one location. Ethan immediately recognized it. William Hayes' warehouse. Grace pointed to the map. Ryan Mitchell controls the building now. Emma's face fell. The employees? Safe. The evidence? Gone. Grace looked directly at Ethan. Ryan Mitchell found another clue. Ethan's stomach tightened. What clue? Grace hesitated. The encrypted Phoenix archive. Ethan frowned. Ryan couldn't open it. No. Grace nodded. But Ryan knows the archive exists. Emma quietly asked, Does Ryan know what's inside? Grace answered slowly. Not yet. Then we still have an advantage. Grace looked toward the distant mountains. For now. Suddenly Grace's radio crackled. A tense voice came through. Commander. Grace answered immediately. Report. We intercepted Ryan Mitchell's communications. What did Ryan say? The reply froze everyone. Ryan Mitchell ordered Daniel Brooks eliminated. Ethan's eyes widened. What? Grace repeated the message. Ryan believes Daniel Brooks has become a liability. Emma understood instantly. If Daniel dies, there's no living witness. Grace finished. Ethan looked at both women. We have to find Daniel first. Grace nodded. Exactly. Emma opened the laptop. The last financial records include Daniel's emergency contact. After several seconds, an address appeared. A private lake house outside Madison. Grace smiled. That's our next destination. Ethan closed the laptop. This ends now. Grace looked at Ethan with determination. No. Grace pointed toward the map. This is only the beginning. At that exact moment, Ethan's phone vibrated. An unknown number. Ethan answered cautiously. Hello? Heavy breathing came through the speaker. Then a weak, familiar voice whispered. Ethan. Ethan froze. William Hayes. William struggled to speak. Don't trust. The connection crackled violently. Grace. The call disconnected. Silence. Emma slowly turned toward Grace. Grace's expression revealed nothing, but for the first time, Ethan Carter no longer knew who could truly be trusted. William Hayes's final words echoed inside Ethan Carter's mind. Don't trust Grace. The call ended. Silence filled the valley. Emma Hayes looked at Ethan. What did William say? Ethan hesitated. Grace Morgan stood only a few feet away. Ethan slowly slipped the phone into a pocket. The signal broke. Grace studied Ethan for a moment, but said nothing. Then we leave now, Grace said calmly. The team boarded the helicopter. Throughout the flight, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about William's warning. Grace had saved Ethan. Grace had William's handwritten letter. Everything about Grace seemed genuine. Then why would William say not to trust Grace? The helicopter landed near an abandoned airfield outside Madison. 2 black SUVs waited beside an old hangar. Grace handed Ethan a bulletproof vest. Daniel Brooks's lake house is 20 minutes away. Emma unfolded the latest satellite images. Ryan Mitchell's men are already moving. Grace looked toward Ethan. If Ryan reaches Daniel first, we lose our only witness, Ethan finished. Grace nodded. The convoy left the airfield at high speed. Rain clouds gathered overhead. Inside the lead SUV, Ethan quietly leaned toward Emma. Did Emma hear William's last words? Emma shook the head. No, William warned Ethan. Emma looked concerned. What warning? Ethan lowered the voice. William said not to trust Grace. Emma stared in disbelief. That doesn't make sense. I know. Grace saved us. I know. William trusted Grace. I know. Neither of them understood. The convoy continued through winding forest roads. Suddenly, Grace's voice came through the vehicle radio. Everyone stop. The SUVs braked immediately. Grace stepped outside. Ethan and Emma followed. The narrow bridge ahead had collapsed into the river. Fresh tire marks covered the mud. Grace knelt beside them. Someone crossed before the bridge fell. Emma examined the broken concrete. This wasn't natural. Grace nodded. Explosives. Ethan looked toward the opposite side. Ryan. Most likely. Grace pointed downstream. There's another crossing. But we'll lose time, Emma said. Grace answered firmly. We don't have another choice. The convoy turned toward a dirt road following the river. 10 minutes later, the vehicles reached an old wooden bridge. Grace studied it carefully. Too quiet. Ethan looked around. No vehicles. No people. No movement. Grace slowly smiled. That's exactly what worries me. Grace motioned for everyone to stay back. One security officer walked onto the bridge. Halfway across, a loud click echoed beneath the wooden planks. Mine! The officer jumped backward. A powerful explosion shattered the center of the bridge. Wood flew into the air. The river swallowed the broken remains. Grace closed the eyes briefly. Ryan predicted this route. Emma whispered, Ryan wants to. The burning remains of the wooden bridge floated down the river. Smoke drifted across the water, while everyone stood in stunned silence. Grace Morgan looked toward the opposite bank. Ryan Mitchell planned every route. Ethan Carter clenched both fists. Ryan wants us delayed. Emma Hayes nodded, which means Ryan is already heading for Daniel Brooks. Grace turned to the team. We continue on foot. Without hesitation, everyone gathered supplies from the SUVs. The helicopter had remained hidden near the airfield, too far away to help. Time was running out. The group followed a narrow trail along the river. The path climbed through dense forest before opening onto a rocky hillside. After nearly an hour of hiking, Emma stopped. There, far below, a large lake reflected the afternoon sunlight. Near the shoreline stood a beautiful wooden house, Daniel Brooks's lake house. Ethan raised binoculars. 2 black SUVs were already parked outside. His heart sank. We're too late. Grace took the binoculars. 4 armed guards patrolled the property. Another stood on the balcony. Ryan Mitchell's men. Emma quietly counted. At least 7. Grace nodded. No sign of Ryan. Maybe Ryan already left. Or maybe Ryan is inside. Ethan lowered the binoculars. Daniel Brooks might still be alive. Grace looked toward the security team. We moved quietly. Everyone spread out through the trees. The lake house grew closer. No voices. No movement. Only the sound of waves reaching the shore. Ethan reached the side window. Broken glass covered the ground. Someone had forced the window open. Grace signaled everyone to hold position. Then Grace slowly entered first. Ethan followed. The living room looked untouched. Expensive furniture. Fresh coffee on the table. A television still playing the news. But no people. Emma noticed something on the floor. Drops of blood. Fresh. The trail led toward the hallway. Grace whispered, "Stay alert." The group followed the blood. The first bedroom stood empty. The second bedroom had been searched. Drawers lay scattered across the floor. The office door remained slightly open. Ethan pushed it wider. Daniel Brooks sat tied to a chair, bruised, bleeding, barely conscious. Daniel slowly lifted the head. Ethan rushed forward. Daniel. Grace quickly searched the room. No attackers. Emma cut the ropes, holding Daniel. Daniel collapsed to the floor. Ethan caught him. Who did this? Daniel struggled to breathe. Ryan. Where is Ryan Mitchell? Daniel laughed weakly. Gone. Grace knelt beside Daniel. What did Ryan want? Daniel closed the eyes. The laptop. Ethan looked at Emma. Ryan still doesn't know the truth. Daniel suddenly grabbed Ethan's arm. There isn't much time. Ethan leaned closer. Tell Ethan everything. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. I'm sorry. Sorry is enough. I know. Daniel took another painful breath. Ryan offered $30 million. Why? To destroy Carter Dynamics. Daniel began crying. At first, Daniel believed Ryan only wanted the company. What changed? Emily Hayes. Emma froze. What about Emily? Daniel lowered the head. Emily discovered everything. Daniel's voice shook violently. Ryan ordered Victor Kane to silence Emily forever. Emma covered the mouth. No. Daniel nodded through tears. Daniel tried to stop Ryan, but it was too late. The room fell silent. Ethan slowly asked, Who killed Emily Hayes? Daniel whispered one name. Victor Kane. Emma's legs almost gave out. Grace caught Emma before Emma fell. Daniel looked at Ethan. There's more. What? Ryan Mitchell isn't the real mastermind. Everyone froze. Grace stepped closer. Who is? Before Daniel could answer, a gunshot exploded through the window. The bullet struck Daniel Brooks in the chest. Blood spread across the shirt. Emma screamed. Ethan caught Daniel before Daniel hit the floor. Outside, a black SUV sped away from the lake house. Grace ran to the broken window. Sniper. Security officers chased toward the road. Too late. The SUV disappeared into the forest. Daniel coughed violently. Blood stained the lips. Ethan held Daniel's hand. Stay with Ethan. Daniel struggled to speak. The mastermind. Name. Daniel forced out one final word. Sterling. Daniel's hand slowly slipped from Ethan's grip. Silence. Daniel Brooks was dead. Emma stood frozen. Grace looked toward the forest. Ryan Mitchell just erased the only witness. Ethan slowly closed Daniel's eyes. No. Grace looked back. What? Ethan reached into Daniel's jacket. A small voice recorder rested inside the pocket. The recording light was still flashing. Daniel Brooks had recorded everything. Before anyone could play the recording, Grace's radio crackled. A frightened voice shouted, "Commander!" Grace answered immediately, "Report." The reply chilled everyone. "Ryan Mitchell has kidnapped William Hayes." Ethan's heart stopped. Then the voice added one more sentence. "Ryan Mitchell demands Ethan Carter come alone or William Hayes dies." William Hayes. Alive. The words echoed through Ethan Carter's mind. For the first time since the attack beneath the forest, hope returned. But it lasted only seconds. Grace Morgan lowered the radio. The message came from Ryan Mitchell. Emma Hayes looked at Ethan. "It's a trap." Ethan nodded. "I know." Grace removed a folded sheet of paper from a pocket. Our surveillance team intercepted the full message. Grace handed it to Ethan. The note contained only one sentence. "Bring the Phoenix laptop to Blackstone Steel Mill before midnight. Come alone or William Hayes dies." Emma immediately shook the head. "No." Ethan folded the paper. "William risked everything. That's exactly why Ethan can't go." Grace stepped closer. "Emma is right. If Ethan walks into Ryan Mitchell's trap, Ryan gets the laptop, and William dies anyway." Ethan looked toward the lake. "So Ethan does nothing?" "No," Grace answered. "We make Ryan believe Ethan accepted the deal." Emma understood immediately. "A decoy?" Grace smiled. "Exactly." The security team quickly gathered inside Daniel Brooks's office. A map of the abandoned steel mill covered the desk. Grace pointed to several entrances, 4 access points, old underground tunnels, 2 rooftop exits. Emma examined the layout. "There's also an abandoned railway." Grace nodded. "Good observation." Ethan looked at the map. "What's the plan?" Grace placed a small black case on the table. Inside rested another laptop, identical to William Hayes' computer. "A duplicate?" Grace nodded. "My team built it years ago." Emma looked surprised. "It even has the Phoenix symbol." Grace smiled slightly. "Ryan Mitchell won't know the difference." Ethan picked up the fake laptop. "What if Ryan checks the files?" Grace answered confidently. "Ryan won't have time." "Why?" "Because before Ryan opens a computer." Grace looked directly at Ethan. "We'll already have William." The plan sounded simple. Too simple. Ethan remembered William's warning. "Don't trust Grace." The words refused to disappear. Grace noticed Ethan watching. "Something wrong?" Ethan forced a small smile. "No." Grace continued explaining. Ethan enters through the front gate. My team surrounds a mill. Emma locates William. Once William is safe, Grace closed the map. Everyone leaves. Emma looked at Ethan. "It can work." Ethan slowly nodded. "I hope so." Night fell as the convoy approached Blackstone Steel Mill. The abandoned factory stood like a giant shadow against the dark sky. Broken windows reflected the moonlight. Rust covered every wall. Silence surrounded the property. Grace checked the watch. 11:45. 15 minutes remained. Security teams quietly disappeared into the darkness. Emma adjusted the communication earpiece. Radio check. Clear. Team Alpha. Ready. Team Bravo. In position. Grace turned toward Ethan. "It's time." Ethan picked up the fake laptop. Before stepping out of the vehicle, Emma grabbed Ethan's hand. "Come back." Ethan smiled. "I will." Emma looked into Ethan's eyes. "For William." Ethan nodded once, then walked toward the front gate alone. The giant steel doors slowly opened by themselves. Ryan Mitchell had been waiting. Inside, old machinery filled the enormous factory floor. Chains hung from the ceiling. Water dripped from rusted pipes. A single spotlight illuminated the center of the building. William Hayes sat tied to a metal chair. Bruised. Blood covered one side of the face. But William was alive. Ethan took another step. "William." William slowly lifted the head. "Leave." Ethan ignored the warning. Ryan Mitchell's voice echoed through hidden speakers. "Welcome, Ethan Carter." Ryan stepped out from the darkness, wearing a black suit. The familiar smile returned. "Right on time." Ethan stopped a few feet away. "Release William." Ryan laughed. "Business first." Ryan pointed toward the laptop. "The Phoenix archive." Ethan held up the case. William first. Ryan slowly clapped, still negotiating. Ryan nodded toward Victor Kane. Victor stepped forward from the shadows. The scar across Victor's face matched Daniel Brooks's description, the man who murdered Emily Hayes. Victor pressed a pistol against William's head. Ryan smiled. Last chance. At that exact moment, Ethan noticed something strange. William Hayes was quietly shaking the head, not from fear. A warning. William's eyes shifted toward the ceiling. Ethan followed William's gaze. High above the factory floor, several dark figures aimed rifles downward. Snipers. Ryan Mitchell had prepared another trap, and someone besides Ethan had already walked straight into it. Ethan Carter forced the eyes away from the snipers. William Hayes continued shaking the head ever so slightly. Don't react. Ethan understood. Ryan Mitchell smiled as if nothing had happened. The laptop. Ethan slowly raised the black case. You promised William Hayes would be released. Ryan shrugged. Ryan Mitchell makes many promises. Victor Kane laughed. Not many are kept. William suddenly spoke through swollen lips. Don't give Ryan anything. Ryan walked toward William and struck William across the face. The loud crack echoed through the steel mill. Ethan took a step forward. Stop. Ryan smiled, then hand over the laptop. Before Ethan could answer, Emma Hayes' voice whispered through the hidden earpiece. Ethan, I found something. Ethan kept the face expressionless. What? They're explosives. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. Where? Every support column. Ryan Mitchell hadn't planned an exchange. Ryan had planned an execution. Grace Morgan's calm voice came over the radio. All teams hold position. Emma spoke again. If Ryan detonates the charges, the entire building comes down. William looked directly at Ethan. The same warning remained in William's eyes. Leave. Ryan extended one hand. 5 seconds. 1, 2. Before Ryan reached 3, the factory lights suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the entire building. A loud explosion echoed outside. Not inside. Outside. Emergency backup lights flickered on. Red lights covered the factory floor. Someone shouted from above. Snipers down. Gunfire erupted across the upper walkways. Grace's voice came through the radio. Move! Chaos exploded. Victor Kane grabbed William Hayes and dragged William toward the rear exit. Ryan disappeared into the darkness. Ethan sprinted toward William. 2 armed guards blocked the path. The first swung a rifle. Ethan ducked beneath the attack and drove a shoulder into the guard's chest. The man crashed into old machinery. The second guard aimed a pistol. Emma fired first. The bullet struck the weapon, sending it spinning across the floor. Ethan reached William. Can William stand? William nodded weakly. With help. Ethan cut the ropes, holding William. Victor Kane turned back and fired twice. Bullets slammed into steel beams beside Ethan. Grace Morgan entered from the east entrance with the security team. Take William outside. Grace shouted, I'll stop Victor. William suddenly grabbed Ethan's arm. No. Ethan looked down. Victor must not escape. William's voice was barely audible. Emily deserves justice. Ethan nodded. Emma supported William, while Ethan chased Victor Kane deeper into the factory. Broken machines created a maze of rusted metal. Victor stayed only a few steps ahead. Suddenly, Victor disappeared. Ethan stopped. Silence. Too much silence. A metallic click sounded behind Ethan. Victor's voice laughed. Too easy. Ethan slowly turned. Victor stood only 10 feet away. Pistol aimed directly at Ethan's chest. Ryan Mitchell said Ethan Carter would chase revenge. Victor smiled. Ryan Mitchell was right. Ethan remained calm. You murdered Emily Hayes. Victor shrugged. Emily asked too many questions. You destroyed innocent lives. Victor laughed again. In business, people disappear. Victor tightened the finger on the trigger. Just before Victor fired, a loud crack echoed through the factory. Victor's pistol flew from the hand. Grace Morgan stood on the upper catwalk, holding a rifle. Game over. Victor looked toward Grace, then smiled. No. Victor pulled another remote from the pocket. Grace's expression changed instantly. The explosives. Victor pressed a button. Nothing happened. Victor frowned. Pressed it again. Still nothing. Grace smiled. Looking for this? Grace held up a damaged circuit board. My team disconnected every detonator. Victor's confidence vanished. Security officers surrounded Victor from every direction. There was nowhere left to run. Victor slowly raised both hands. Ethan stepped closer. It's over. Victor laughed one final time. No. Victor looked directly into Ethan's eyes. Ryan Mitchell never expected Victor Kane to survive tonight. Ethan frowned. What? Before anyone could react, Victor bit down on something hidden inside the mouth. A small capsule. Within seconds, Victor collapsed onto the concrete floor. Foam appeared around the lips. Emma reached Victor first. Too late. Victor Kane was dead. Silence filled the factory. The only man who confessed Emily Hayes' murder had taken the truth to the grave. Grace quietly looked at Ethan. Ryan Mitchell just erased another witness. William Hayes slowly walked toward Victor's body. William bent down and removed a folded piece of paper from Victor's inside pocket. What is it? Ethan asked. William unfolded the paper. A single name was written across the page. Sterling. William's face turned pale. Emma noticed immediately. William, you know this name. William looked at Ethan with fear unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Yes. Ethan took one step closer. Who is Sterling? William answered in a trembling voice. The person who created Ryan Mitchell. Before William could explain further, every phone inside the factory received the same message. A live video started automatically. An older man in an expensive gray suit appeared on every screen. The stranger smiled calmly. Good evening, Ethan Carter. The man looked straight into the camera. My name is Sterling Blackwood. And Ethan Carter has finally become interesting enough to meet. Sterling Blackwood's face filled every phone screen. The older man smiled with complete confidence, as if everything unfolding inside the steel mill had happened exactly according to plan. No panic, no anger, only quiet control. Ethan Carter stared at the screen. So, Sterling Blackwood is real. Sterling nodded slightly. Yes. Ryan Mitchell works for Sterling Blackwood? A faint smile crossed Sterling's face. Ryan Mitchell believes Ryan Mitchell works with Sterling Blackwood. William Hayes suddenly stepped forward. Turn it off. Sterling looked directly at William. After 15 years. William Hayes still sounds angry. William's hands trembled. Emily Hayes died because of Sterling Blackwood. Sterling's expression never changed. Emily Hayes died because Emily Hayes couldn't stop searching. Emma Hayes clenched both fists. You murdered Emily. Sterling calmly adjusted the tie. No. Victor Kane carried out the order. The difference matters. Ethan stepped closer to the screen. Enough games. Why destroy Carter Dynamics? Sterling smiled. Because Ethan Carter built something valuable. I built a technology company. You built much more than that. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Sterling leaned toward the camera. 5 years ago, Carter Dynamics developed an artificial intelligence security platform. Ethan immediately remembered the classified project. Project Phoenix. Only a handful of executives had known it existed. Sterling continued. That system could expose financial fraud across entire corporations. William quietly lowered the head. Sterling noticed. William Hayes understands. Emma looked toward William. Project Phoenix? William nodded. Emily Hayes discovered Ryan Mitchell was trying to steal it. Sterling smiled. Exactly. Ethan felt every piece of the puzzle finally coming together. So Ryan Mitchell never wanted Carter Dynamics. Sterling answered. Ryan wanted Project Phoenix. And when Ryan failed, Sterling paused. Ryan destroyed Ethan Carter instead. Emma stared at the screen. The Phoenix archive contains the original system. Sterling nodded once. Now Emma Hayes understands. Grace Morgan quietly whispered, that changes everything. Sterling continued speaking. Project Phoenix isn't valuable because of money. It's valuable because whoever controls it controls the truth. Silence filled the factory. Sterling slowly stood from the chair. One final offer. Sterling looked directly at Ethan. Bring Project Phoenix to Sterling Blackwood. In return, William Hayes, Emma Hayes, and everyone standing beside Ethan Carter walks away alive. William immediately answered, "No." Sterling smiled again. William Hayes isn't negotiating. William Hayes is surviving. The video ended. Every phone returned to a black screen. Nobody spoke. The factory suddenly felt colder. Grace broke the silence. "We leave now." William nodded. "Sterling Blackwood already knows our location." Emma closed the Phoenix laptop. "We need somewhere Sterling can't find." William slowly shook the head. "Sterling always finds people." Ethan looked at William. "Then we stop running." Everyone turned toward Ethan. Grace frowned. "What does Ethan mean?" Ethan looked around the room. Ryan Mitchell, Victor Kane, Daniel Brooks, all followed Sterling Blackwood. So Sterling is a real enemy. William smiled faintly. For the first time, Ethan Carter is asking the right question. Emma stepped closer. "Then what's the answer?" William took a deep breath. Sterling Blackwood built an organization called The Circle. Grace's expression changed immediately. "The Circle still exists?" William nodded. "For decades." Emma looked confused. "What is The Circle?" William answered quietly. "A network of powerful executives, politicians, bankers, and corporate leaders. Every major financial crime, every hidden takeover, every destroyed company. The Circle stood behind it." Ethan felt a chill. "And Sterling leads them?" William looked away. "Yes." Grace unfolded another map. "If the Circle exists, there must be headquarters." William hesitated. "There is." "Where?" William slowly pointed toward New York City. "The Blackwood Tower." Silence. Emma looked shocked. "The tallest building in Manhattan?" William nodded. "Everything begins there." Before anyone could respond, Grace's secure phone rang. Grace answered immediately. After only a few seconds, Grace's face turned completely pale. Ethan stepped forward. "What happened?" Grace slowly lowered the phone. "Our safe houses, every one of them, has been attacked." Emma whispered, "How?" Grace looked toward William. Sterling Blackwood already knew every location. William's expression darkened. "There's only one explanation." Ethan understood before anyone spoke. "There's another traitor." No one in the room said a word, because suddenly everyone began looking at everyone else. Silence spread across the abandoned steel mill. No one spoke. No one moved. The words, "there's another traitor," echoed through every mind. Ethan Carter slowly looked around the room. William Hayes, Emma Hayes, Grace Morgan, every member of the security team. Someone had betrayed them. The only question was who. Grace broke the silence first. "Everyone stays where everyone is." The security officers immediately spread out, keeping careful watch on each other. Emma looked toward William. Could Sterling Blackwood be bluffing? William slowly shook the head. "No, Sterling never bluffs." Ethan crossed both arms. "Then Sterling knew every move before everyone arrived." Grace nodded. "That means information leaked in real time." Emma opened the Phoenix laptop. "There may be another way." "What?" "The communications logs." Emma connected the encrypted radio network to the laptop. Lines of data filled the screen. Every transmission from the past 24 hours appeared. Grace watched carefully. "Can Emma trace the leak?" Emma nodded. "If someone copied our signals, the system recorded it." Seconds passed. Then Emma froze. "There's an unauthorized connection." Grace stepped closer. "Where?" Emma pointed at the monitor. "A hidden transmitter. It activated 3 hours ago." Ethan frowned. "Can Emma locate it?" Emma pressed another key. A digital map appeared. A blinking red dot slowly moved. Everyone stared at the screen. The signal was inside the factory. Grace quietly raised a rifle. No one moves. Emma followed the signal. Every step narrowed the location. Closer, closer. Finally, the red stopped, directly beside one of Grace's security officers. The young officer looked completely confused. What? Grace kept the weapon raised, dropped the radio. The officer slowly removed the communication device. Emma scanned it, not the radio. The signal was still active. Ethan noticed the officer touching the left shoulder. What's under the jacket? The officer hesitated. Grace's voice became sharp. Now. Slowly, the officer removed the jacket. A tiny black transmitter had been sewn into the lining. Emma stared in disbelief. It's broadcasting our location. The officer's eyes widened. I swear, I never knew. Grace carefully removed the device. It's professionally hidden. William looked at the frightened officer. How long has the jacket belonged to the officer? About 2 weeks. Grace sighed. Sterling planted the tracker long before this mission. Ethan finally lowered the guard. So there isn't another traitor. William answered quietly. No, there's someone even more dangerous. Emma frowned. What? Someone who plans years ahead. Before anyone could speak again, the transmitter suddenly began flashing red. Emma's expression changed instantly. Everyone back. Grace threw the device toward the center of the empty factory floor. 1 second later, a violent explosion shook the building. The blast destroyed several steel beams. Dust filled the air. Emergency alarms started screaming. Grace coughed through the smoke. Move! The team rushed toward the nearest exit. Behind them, the weakened ceiling began collapsing. Massive steel supports crashed onto the factory floor. Ethan grabbed William before falling debris struck. Emma helped 2 injured security officers reach the doorway. Outside, everyone turned back. The enormous steel mill collapsed into itself. A cloud of smoke covered the night sky. Grace looked at the ruins. Sterling just erased every piece of evidence left inside. William slowly nodded, and Sterling almost erased everyone too. Emma looked at Ethan. What now? Before Ethan could answer, a black luxury sedan quietly stopped on the road. No headlights, no security convoy, only one car. The rear door opened. Ryan Mitchell stepped outside. Alone, Ryan raised both empty hands. No weapons. Grace immediately aimed a rifle. Don't move. Ryan smiled. I'm not here to fight. Ethan stepped forward. What does Ryan Mitchell want? Ryan's confident smile had disappeared. For the first time, Ryan Mitchell needs Ethan Carter's help. Everyone froze. Emma looked at Ryan in disbelief. After everything? Ryan nodded slowly. Sterling Blackwood just signed Ryan Mitchell's death warrant. William's eyes narrowed. Why should anyone believe Ryan? Ryan reached into the pocket and placed a sealed envelope on the hood of the sedan. Because Sterling already replaced Ryan. Ethan carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. Sterling Blackwood stood beside another businessman. The man looked almost identical to Ryan Mitchell. Emma whispered, "A double." Ryan nodded. Sterling doesn't keep failures. Grace studied Ryan carefully. So now Ryan wants revenge. Ryan looked directly into Ethan's eyes. No. Ryan's voice carried something Ethan had never heard before. Fear. I want to survive. At that exact moment, Ryan Mitchell's phone rang. Ryan answered. The color drained from Ryan's face. Slowly, Ryan lowered the phone. Ethan stepped closer. What happened? Ryan looked toward Ethan with trembling eyes. Sterling Blackwood says, the countdown has already started. Far above the city skyline, a distant explosion lit up the night, and moments later, every news station interrupted regular programming with the same breaking headline. Blackwood Tower is under attack. Silence spread across the abandoned steel mill. No one spoke. No one moved. The words, "There's another traitor," echoed through every mind. Ethan Carter slowly looked around the room. William Hayes, Emma Hayes, Grace Morgan, every member of the security team. Someone had betrayed them. The only question was who. Grace broke the silence first. Everyone stays where everyone is. The security officers immediately spread out, keeping careful watch on each other. Emma looked toward William. Could Sterling Blackwood be bluffing? William slowly shook the head. No, Sterling never bluffs. Ethan crossed both arms. Then Sterling knew every move before everyone arrived. Grace nodded. That means information leaked in real time. Emma opened the Phoenix laptop. There may be another way. What? The communications logs. Emma connected the encrypted radio network to the laptop. Lines of data filled the screen. Every transmission from the past 24 hours appeared. Grace watched carefully. Can Emma trace the leak? Emma nodded. If someone copied our signals, the system recorded it. Seconds passed. Then Emma froze. There's an unauthorized connection. Grace stepped closer. Where? Emma pointed at the monitor. A hidden transmitter. It activated 3 hours ago. Ethan frowned. Can Emma locate it? Emma pressed another key. A digital map appeared. A blinking red dot slowly moved. Everyone stared at the screen. The signal was inside the factory. Grace quietly raised a rifle. No one moves. Emma followed the signal. Every step narrowed the location. Closer, closer. Finally, the red stopped. Directly beside one of Grace's security officers. The young officer looked completely confused. What? Grace kept the weapon raised. Dropped the radio. The officer slowly removed the communication device. Emma scanned it. Not the radio. The signal was still active. Ethan noticed the officer touching the left shoulder. What's under the jacket? The officer hesitated. Grace's voice became sharp. Now. Slowly, the officer removed the jacket. A tiny black transmitter had been sewn into the lining. Emma stared in disbelief. It's broadcasting our location. The officer's eyes widened. I swear, I never knew. Grace carefully removed the device. It's professionally hidden. William looked at the frightened officer. How long has the jacket belonged to the officer? About 2 weeks. Grace sighed. Sterling planted the tracker long before this mission. Ethan finally lowered the guard. So there isn't another traitor. William answered quietly. No, there's someone even more dangerous. Emma frowned. What? Someone who plans years ahead. Before anyone could speak again, the transmitter suddenly began flashing red. Emma's expression changed instantly. Everyone back. Grace threw the device toward the center of the empty factory floor. 1 second later, a violent explosion shook the building. The blast destroyed several steel beams. Dust filled the air. Emergency alarms started screaming. Grace coughed through the smoke. Move! The team rushed toward the nearest exit. Behind them, the weakened ceiling began collapsing. Massive steel supports crashed onto the factory floor. Ethan grabbed William before falling debris struck. Emma helped 2 injured security officers reach the doorway. Outside, everyone turned back. The enormous steel mill collapsed into itself. A cloud of smoke covered the night sky. Grace looked at the ruins. Sterling just erased every piece of evidence left inside. William slowly nodded. And Sterling almost erased everyone, too. Emma looked at Ethan. What now? Before Ethan could answer, a black luxury sedan quietly stopped on the road. No headlights. No security convoy. Only one car. The rear door opened. Ryan Mitchell stepped outside. Alone, Ryan raised both empty hands. No weapons. Grace immediately aimed a rifle. Don't move. Ryan smiled. I'm not here to fight. Ethan stepped forward. What does Ryan Mitchell want? Ryan's confident smile had disappeared. For the first time, Ryan Mitchell needs Ethan Carter's help. Everyone froze. Emma looked at Ryan in disbelief. After everything? Ryan nodded slowly. Sterling Blackwood just signed Ryan Mitchell's death warrant. William's eyes narrowed. Why should anyone believe Ryan? Ryan reached into the pocket and placed a sealed envelope on the hood of the sedan. Because Sterling already replaced Ryan. Ethan carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. Sterling Blackwood stood beside another businessman. The man looked almost identical to Ryan Mitchell. Emma whispered, "A double?" Ryan nodded. "Sterling doesn't keep failures." Grace studied Ryan carefully. So now Ryan wants revenge. Ryan looked directly into Ethan's eyes. No. Ryan's voice carried something Ethan had never heard before. Fear. I want to survive. At that exact moment, Ryan Mitchell's phone rang. Ryan answered. The color drained from Ryan's face. Slowly, Ryan lowered the phone. Ethan stepped closer. What happened? Ryan looked toward Ethan with trembling eyes. Sterling Blackwood says, "The countdown has already started." Far above the city skyline, a distant explosion lit up the night, and moments later, every news station interrupted regular programming with the same breaking headline: Blackwood Tower is under attack. The countdown continued. For 59, for 58, for 57, every second echoed through the underground command center. Nobody spoke. Ethan Carter stared at Sophia Bennett's frightened face on the screen. Grace Morgan broke the silence. Sterling Blackwood wants Ethan to choose. William Hayes nodded. If Ethan saves Sophia, Sterling escapes. Emma Hayes looked toward Ethan. If Ethan chases Sterling, Sophia dies. Ryan Mitchell lowered the head. That's how Sterling always wins. Ethan slowly closed the eyes, then looked at the entire team. No. Everyone turned toward Ethan. Sterling Blackwood wins. Only if everyone follows Sterling's plan. Grace smiled slightly. What does Ethan have in mind? Ethan pointed toward the monitors. Grace takes Team Alpha and finds Sterling. Emma and William rescue Sophia. Ryan looked surprised. And Ethan held up the Phoenix laptop. Sterling wants this. So Ethan becomes a distraction. William immediately objected. Too dangerous. Ethan smiled. William Hayes once said, "People who lose everything stop being afraid." William quietly nodded. I remember. The countdown reached 4 minutes. The teams separated. Grace and security officers disappeared into the eastern corridor. Emma and William rushed toward the detention level shown on the security map. Ryan stayed beside Ethan. You really trust Ryan now? Ethan answered calmly. No, but Ethan trusts Ryan's fear of Sterling. Ryan gave a tired smile. Fair enough. The central elevator suddenly opened. Sterling Blackwood stepped out alone. Gray suit, black gloves, calm expression, exactly like the videos. Sterling slowly applauded. Impressive. Ethan Carter finally learned to think. Ethan walked forward. This ends tonight. Sterling smiled. No, this ends exactly the way Sterling planned. Ryan stepped between them. It's over. Sterling looked at Ryan with disappointment. Ryan Mitchell served a purpose. Nothing more. Ryan clenched both fists. 15 years. And Sterling never trusted Ryan. Sterling calmly replied, correct. Without warning, Ryan rushed toward Sterling. A single gunshot echoed through the chamber. Ryan stopped. Blood spread across Ryan's chest. Ryan looked down in disbelief before collapsing onto the floor. Sterling lowered the pistol. Predictable. Ethan charged forward. Sterling fired again. The bullet missed as Ethan dove behind a steel console. Grace's voice came through the radio. We found Sterling. Gunfire erupted throughout the command center. Security officers surrounded Sterling from multiple directions. Sterling remained calm, almost amused. Emma's excited voice suddenly came over the radio. Sophia is safe. William added, the detention cells are clear. Ethan smiled. Sterling lost. Sterling slowly laughed. No. Sterling pressed a small button hidden beneath the watch. The countdown on every monitor instantly changed. 0:30. Grace shouted, bomb. Emma screamed through the radio. Everyone out. Chaos filled the underground level. People ran toward emergency exits. Ethan looked at Sterling. You plan to destroy everything. Sterling nodded. No evidence. No witnesses. No Phoenix. William's voice echoed from the hallway. Ethan! Leave. Ethan looked toward the exit, then back at Sterling. One final decision. Ethan grabbed the Phoenix laptop and threw it directly at Sterling. Sterling instinctively caught it. For one brief second, Sterling stopped moving. That was enough. Grace fired. The bullet struck Sterling's shoulder. The laptop fell onto the floor. Ethan kicked it away and tackled Sterling. Both crashed through the glass wall, overlooking the emergency escape tunnel. The countdown reached 0:10. Grace pulled Ethan away. William grabbed the Phoenix laptop. Emma held Sophia. Everyone sprinted toward the exit. Sterling struggled to stand. For the first time, fear appeared in Sterling Blackwood's eyes. 0:05. Sterling reached for the laptop. Too far. 0:03. Sterling looked at Ethan. You could have ruled the world. Ethan shook the head. Ethan Carter only wanted the truth. 0:02. Sterling smiled one final time. Truth changes nothing. 0:01. The underground command center exploded. A massive shockwave threw everyone to the emergency tunnel. Fire consumed the hidden headquarters beneath Blackwood Tower. Sterling Blackwood disappeared forever beneath collapsing steel and concrete. 3 months later, every charge against Ethan Carter had been erased. Project Phoenix exposed hundreds of financial crimes across the country. The circle collapsed. Dozens of powerful criminals were arrested. Ryan Mitchell's testimony before dying helped investigators uncover the remaining members of the organization. William Hayes finally cleared Emily Hayes' name. Emma Hayes became the new director of Carter Dynamics after Ethan rebuilt the company from the ground up. Sophia Bennett publicly confessed every crime and accepted responsibility in court. One quiet evening, Ethan stood beside Emily Hayes' memorial. William walked over and smiled. Emily would be proud. Ethan looked toward the sunset. William Hayes gave Ethan Carter a second chance. William shook the head. No. William smiled warmly. Ethan Carter earned it. For the first time in many years, Ethan Carter smiled without pain. Not because everything had been forgotten, but because justice had finally defeated betrayal.